Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about two shocking unsolved shooting crimes, especially since Singapore is supposed to have the strictest gun laws in the world. Up until now, I always thought that guns were illegal in Singapore, but back in the 50s to 70s, there were a lot of private firearm licenses. And by the early 70s, there were actually more than 5,000 gun owners in Singapore, which is crazy. And most of it was actually owned by gun club members. So the first case I'm going to be talking about is about a seamstress who simply got shot in broad daylight with no rhyme or reason. On the 17th of September 1972, at around 12:30 PM, 22-year-old Malaysian seamstress Chan Lizhen suddenly screamed and collapsed at Queen's Circus. She had suffered a gunshot in her chest while walking back from a shopping centre to a Tanglin Halt flat with her younger sister Chan Jinmei. Despite it being a very highly populated area, no firing blast nor echo was heard by the pedestrians, the residents, or even her sister herself. A passing by police patrol car immediately attended to her and called an ambulance. Blood was gushing out of her wound and she was rushed to Singapore General Hospital. Hospital staff actually thought it was a stab wound because they had no context of the incident, but later they diagnosed the wound as a gunshot wound. She was shot slightly above her chest and the bullet entered her heart after being deflected by a bone. So after 11 hours of unconsciousness, Lizhen was pronounced dead at the hospital. The bullet that was extracted from her wound was of a .22 caliber. Police initially suspected that it was fired from a flat within Tanglin Halt. There are two theories. It could either be a sharpshooter or a sniper aimed and shot from a flat with a clear motive to kill, or it could be a case of an accidental discharge of a rifle, perhaps from someone while he was cleaning his weapon. Later, however, the shooting was actually classified as a murder case. Hundreds of residents living in Tanglin Halt were interviewed. Other investigations were also carried out, including the checking of the firearm licenses. So who was this murderer and what was his motive? Or was it simply just an accident? The first theory is that the gunman was indeed hired to kill Chan Lizhen. However, instead of the theory of her being shot from far away, they assumed that she was shot from a moving vehicle that was close to her. This was because an unnamed firearm expert believed that the weapon used was a pistol or a revolver instead of a rifle. He cited two reasons. The first reason was that if a .22 caliber rifle was used, a telescopic lens would be required as the nearest block of flats was more than 137 meters away. According to the expert, he did not know anyone in Singapore who owned a telescopic lens. Secondly, a .22 game hunter's bullet will actually penetrate the victim's chest and leave a gaping hole through her body. A target practice bullet, although it would not have penetrated the body, would have to be fired very accurately. So this was very unlikely because the gunman would have to make his kill with just one single precise shot. Hence, the firearm expert deduced that the gunman was hired to kill the victim and had followed and shot her at Queen's Circus. Second theory is that it was just simply a case of wrong identity. People believe that the gunman was actually hired to kill her sister Chan Jinmei instead of Chan Lizhen, but they got the identity all wrong, so they had shot Chan Lizhen instead. Till now, the case remains unsolved. Do you think this was just a case of mistaken identity? Because the family claims that the victim has no enemies or whatsoever. Maybe she was just at the wrong time, wrong place, So the next story is about this mamasan that got shot and got paralyzed waist down for the rest of her life. So back in the 90s, Mona Koh ruled the night scene club and was considered one of the top mamasans in Singapore. In 1994, Mona Koh was shot twice while she was waiting for a lift at Katong's People's Complex. The first bullet actually hit her face and then the second bullet hit her spine, which actually made her wheelchair bound for life. Unfortunately, I couldn't find much information about this case, but here are a couple of theories. So the first theory is that she's a target of monetary conflict. People believe that she was shot because she had clients that are high-profile entrepreneurs, captains, and whatnot. So Mona Koh might just have been killed because she was a victim of monetary conflict. The second theory is that she was the target of a vengeful competitor. So back then, Mona Koh was the top mamasan, like I said. So she ruled the entire night scene and was said to be very influential. People speculate that she was probably taken down by a competitor who was jealous of her successful business. The third theory is that a gunman was hired by an enemy. Being in the nightclub industry meant that she knew a lot of people, right? So some of them might have come from shady backgrounds and she might have offended some people without knowing. Sadly, the killer was never found and the bullet that was shot into her spine is now lodged between her spine and liver, and she has to live with that bullet in her for the rest of her life, taking over 10 pills a day to control the pain. So luckily for us, Singapore's gun laws has become more stringent over the years. And if I'm not wrong, it's almost impossible for private citizens to own a gun, or it's quite hard to get a license. So thank you for watching today's video. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye. That if a 0.22, the first reason is that how's life, guys?